Radio 101. To get on board right now, send us an email. Our email address is liquidgreenhealthshow@gmail.com. And now, ladies and gentlemen, right to your hosts of the Liquid Green Health Show, Fred and Janet Cox.
And a very good afternoon to you. It is another Sunday afternoon, February the 12th. It feels so much like spring today, a little bit of early spring. Wonderful. And we had a wonderful day so far. We just got back from, where did we get back from?
It's a Black
an event.
History event hosted by the
Lions. One of the chapters of the Lions Club in Toronto. And it was very well attended. I want to give a big shout out to Robert Hamilton, the president of that chapter.
And Kaylee.
And Kaylee Hep, I think the last name, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Hepkin, I think is the last name. Someone that I knew years ago, but never recognized the name when she contacted us. It wasn't until she sent her picture.
Oh.
And I said, I know this person. Anyway, it was fun.
I have to share this before you start.
Yeah.
Talking about recognizing people. We walked in and there were about probably 7 people there at the event. And this woman approached Frederick. And she said,
for the life of me.
And he said, hello. And she said, don't you know who I am?
No.
She really had him going because he could not remember her. And she said, I'm not cutting you any slack. You should remember me. So we're going to chalk that up to, is it a senior's moment?
It's a senior's moment.
Because after you did recognize her, then she gave you a slap.
Yeah. Well, what's good? But I got to shout out to Megan.
Yeah, and Megan is with the Guyana Defense
Ex-Soldiers, the Guyana Ex-Soldiers Association.
And she's written a book about your organization. So shame on you, Mr.
Yeah,
Cox.
Should have known.
Okay.
Anyway, my name is Fred Cox, and on my left, to your right, is my co-host, Janet. We're the Coxes, and today's Sunday. It's our time to spend some time with you.
Your friend,
Thank you. Thank you very much for allowing us into your space. Today, I know it's a big day. It is Super Bowl. And history is in the making with today's game. I am not a Super Bowl fan. So I'm going to a Super Bowl party. We are after this.
And I'm just with my Scrabble.
Yeah, I'm just going for the fun, entertainment part of it.
Yeah.
But I'm really not a Super Bowl fan. But my understanding.
My friend Cheryl throws a party, and she's throwing this party. And
so we got to be there.
Fantastic place, and we're going to be there.
Have to be there. Yeah. So my understanding, as I said, it's history in the making. There are 2 Black quarterbacks.
2 brothers, actually.
I'm not sure they're both brothers, but I know a brother. Brothers. There's a brother that's playing on one team.
Yeah, on the super.
2 brothers playing on opposite teams, but only one of the brothers is a quarterback.
Correct.
That's my understanding.
He's with Kansas City.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bet on the black guy today. Okay, that's my bet. Black guy is going to win. Good afternoon to our listeners across Canada, the United States, and around the world. Thank you for allowing us into your private space, and welcome once again to the Liquid Green Health Show. This and all our past broadcasts are on Spotify. It's also on YouTube, and you can also get us on Facebook Live. If you went to YouTube or Spotify, just type in Liquid Green Health Show. Share, like, do your comments, subscribe. We want to get those subscriptions up. It's going to give us a boost. You can also, as I said earlier, check us out on Facebook Live. That's Facebook. That's Liquid Green Products, Inc. Write into us. Please let us know where you're listening from. And the address for that is liquidgreenhealthshow@gmail.com. We love your questions. We already have a few emails coming in. We love your comments, so please keep them coming in. Every Sunday, folks, we have fun at this time on the air. We offer tips in an edutainment format designed to stimulate the mind and help bring us one step closer to living a healthier lifestyle. Today, our topic is about food.
Yeah.
And why we've chosen that topic is because we all love to eat, right? And we love to eat all kinds of stuff. whether it's good or bad, we eat it,
Yeah.
right? And what it does to us after, then there's a whole long list of things that we can roll out to you.
Mhm.
But we understand that our health is our wealth, and food is or should be our medicine,
Mhm.
right? But there's a history where, because we're not eating properly and because we're not getting the right nutrients, we have a lot of problems. So
Mhm.
because we're in the period of Black History Month,
Yeah.
in the month of February,
Which I always say should not be Black History Month. It should be Black History period.
period, right? Because we're in that period, we're going to be talking about the type of foods people in our culture tend to consume on a regular basis, and some of the side effects that it has. You know, on our flyer that we sent out, we had two pictures, one with vegan and the other with soul food. And we got some comments already.
Yes, yes, yes.
You know?
We're going to read some of those emails shortly.
Yeah,
Mhm.
some
Keep them
people
coming.
already, drew the line as to which is the better one. But that's the way it is. That's what we're going to be talking about. Okay. So the whole conversation is going to be surrounded around food and the choices we make. We're going to be talking about the SAD, the SAD, and the BAD,
Yes.
right?
The
The
bad.
standard American diet
Yes.
and the Black American diet.
diet.
Okay. That's
Both
the
bad.
SAD and the BAD, right?
Yeah.
But let me
Mhm.
tell you this: there's a lot to consider when we talk about this. When it comes to food, whether we're trying to read the labels, which can be very confusing if you try to read the labels in the supermarkets, or the meat and dairy products, or understand the health effects of toxic food additives in our, on our favorite foods. There's a lot of that. You look at the labels, some of the words you can't pronounce.
Mhm.
And the minute the consumer get, educated on those preservatives or whatever they're putting into the food, and we realize that, hey, this is no good, and we start talking up, they change the name, right? They change the name and they come back with a new thing, brand new product thing, right? So if you're armed with the proper information, it gives you the power to take action and protect your health, and by extension, your family's health. So our mission on the Liquid Green Health Show is to empower you, the listener, with knowledge so that you can make informed choices and live a healthier life in a healthy environment. That's all this show is about. All right?
Great.
So, what do you want to say?
I want to start with a quote from the Russian president.
What?
Putin.
That guy?
Yes.
What?
I'm going to go there.
What? You going there?
Because I read
Mhm.
or I listened. I don't remember exactly where I heard it. It's not me saying it. This is something he said. And the doctor I was listening to said he actually agreed with him.
And he's the arch enemy of
Exactly. And he
of the-
said that America is intentionally poisoning their population.
Wow.
And
What a
it
statement.
sounds like pompous. It sounds
Like,
devastating.
who is he to say that?
But the question is it true?
I think there's some truth to it. I think there is some truth there, because when you look at what the availability of the foods,
Mhm.
I mean, you go into the supermarket, it's a smorgasbord of
Processed foods. And
right?
when we're talking processed food, anything out of a can, a package,
Yeah.
right? Or plastic.
Mhm.
And then we take it home and we store it in plastic, which is another problem
Right.
environmentally, right? Because what we know is that health concerns are growing. It's almost as if the more we know,
Mhm.
the more problems instead of solutions. We seem as everything else, there's technological advances.
Yeah.
But when it comes to food and what we eat, like our population is getting
Sicker.
worse
Yeah,
in
sicker.
case of
And-
in terms of health.
And not just getting worse, but worse from an earlier age,
Yes.
much earlier age. Young people are coming down with diabetes.
Dementia in 40-year-olds.
Yep.
Like, go figure. Like, how possible
Never
is
heard
that?
about that.
What we say is there's a tsunami of illnesses
Mhm.
that's coming, and that our grandchildren are not going to be able to cope with the situation that they're going to have to deal with, right? But
But the thing is, so what we should be afraid of
Mhm.
is not the potential wars that may take place. We don't know if it's going to happen, but every major developed nation is
Mhm.
preparing for some kind of a military disaster
Okay.
that's going to take place at some point in time, and they have their enemies out there. I don't have to
Mhm.
name them, but they're out there.
Mhm.
But that fear is being thrown upon us constantly.
Mhm.
Political upheaval, financial disruptions that supposedly that are coming. Every time you check on Google or you check in the newspaper, there's some kind of financial crisis, housing crisis, all these things they're putting out there. But really and truly, the biggest harm
Yeah.
to human health,
Yes.
right, is the food.
Yes. And we're talking about Black History Month. What we realize is that if there is a rainfall, let's say there's heavy rainfall
Mhm.
in the food industry, in whatever.
Yeah. Or
then
any kind of disaster.
Any kind of disaster, any kind of event.
Yeah.
So the general population will experience a rainfall.
Mhm.
And then it comes to the Black community, it becomes a tsunami.
Yeah. And then
Right.
there are lots of reasons for that. Economic.
Right. We're going to talk about some of those reasons.
Yeah.
But just take a look at what happened in COVID.
Oh, yes.
Right. COVID was a classic point.
Mhm.
Many people died, and regretfully, but
The majority of people in North America, succumbed
to COVID
Yeah.
were Black people,
Yes.
or the elderly, of course.
Mhm.
But then that's another dynamic, right? But young and old Black folks were dying because, and as you say, there are certain factors, right?
Right. Now, I want to read a statistic here, and I pulled this off of the internet.
Mhm.
And this is from, I think this is, I don't remember where I got it from. I should have copied it. But anyway, it says in 2021, around 29% of adults
Mhm.
aged 18 years and older in Canada were obese,
Yeah.
while 36% were overweight. And
And-
that was based on their BMI.
Yeah, because when we talk about obesity,
Mhm.
there is one dietitian, very famous Black American dietitian. Her name is Tracy. Again, I forget her last name. I'll remember during the show and pass it on. But what she says is like obesity or being your body structure
Yes.
is so different. So you can have a thin person
Mhm.
walking around like her mom,
Mhm.
really thin, looks gorgeous, she's never ever overweight. And yet she succumbed to cardiovascular disease,
Yeah.
which eventually led to getting Alzheimer's, to vascular dementia,
Mhm.
right? So it's not because you're thin or fat or even obese, because you can have some people who are generally bigger. They may look stout, according to what we say in Jamaica, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they have any kind of disease.
Them just thick.
They're thick.
I'm thick. I'm thick. But I heard someone,
Mhm.
I think you and I were looking at it, is one of the videos that we look at. And the person said that North America,
Mhm.
he was talking about North America, comparing it to other parts of the world, are the most malnourished nation,
Mhm.
is the most malnourished nation on
Mhm.
the planet, even though we have
So much food.
so much food
And
to,
we eat so much.
right, to our disposal. And the reason being, eating a lot doesn't mean that you are
Eating
eating well. There's a lack of nutrition.
Empty calories. So
Right.
you're consuming a lot of calories.
A lot of food.
Like
and
the
you-
bag of potato chips you had the other night.
Yeah, that was tasty. I mean,
And
that was
the-
necessary. It was necessary.
And the
Right.
plantain chips and the banana.
Again, that was necessary. How
So
often?
yesterday you did.
No. You shouldn't even bring that up. That's throwing me under the bus. You shouldn't even bring that up. That was good quality plantain and banana chips. I just couldn't resist. And that was once in a while.
So here's the deal.
Yeah.
Nobody is saying you can't have a treat every
Mhm.
once in a while. But if you're going to have some chips, you do not need to eat 2 bags of chips every week.
I don't
Okay.
eat 2 bags of chips, sir.
Well,
Why are
you
you
were
looking at
beginning-
me? Why are you looking at me and saying, but you're looking at me and you're making the statement? That's not fair. That's not fair.
But it says, the food industry,
Mm.
they said, this another doctor we were looking at, he says, ISIS has nothing on the food industry
Nothing.
because the real weapon of mass destruction, is highly processed food, the pesticides that are sprayed on, the high glycerin that are
Yeah.
used, the low fiber, no good for our gut
Right.
microbiome. And basically, we take it home and then we store it,
I can tell
or
you,
we cook
yeah,
using the bad things.
whoever
right?
made that statement, they're
Yeah.
right on,
Mhm,
bang
right
on. Because again, it's going back to the perceived threat that
Mhm.
we're getting from external forces, military
Yeah.
forces, the perceived threat that they're making us to believe that this is going to be bad. That we're going to go into a financial crush.
Mhm.
We're going to go into a housing downturn. We're going to go into all kinds of various, calamities are going to happen to us, but they're not focusing on the real cause of unhealthiness in this country,
And
in North America.
mhm.
Right. The number one cause of unhealthiness is nutrition, lack of proper nutrition.
And how it's prepared and the
Yeah.
availability. Like, I'm going to look at, you and I argue about this all the time.
Mhm.
We know that in the US, again, we're kind of knocking our US folks because we travel to the US quite a bit and we've seen it. Our aunt lives in a part of Philadelphia that's in West Philly, that if anybody goes, they probably don't want to visit you at night. Okay. Bless her soul, Edna Martin, she's passed on. But my brother's still there. And the situation is that the supermarkets are different.
Yeah, totally
They
different.
don't have the good fruits and vegetables in the supermarket aisles. The prices are more. Even for the bad things like cigarettes,
Yeah.
you're going to be paying at least $3 more in a poor area supermarket
Yes.
than in a wealthier suburb.
But listen,
Right?
it's not just in the States, right here.
It-
Right here in Canada, there's some areas you go into the supermarkets,
Mhm.
you look at the food, and I'm not going to call a name, but there's
Yeah.
one that you like to go to because it's close.
Yes.
I don't like to buy fruits and vegetables there because they all look old.
But I
Right.
think it's not as much as a problem as we see south of the border. Because I think the average Canadian supermarket, I'm not saying it doesn't exist,
Mm.
but I think we're more likely to find all the choices.
Yes, you
They
got it.
might not be the freshest. That's why we have the no frills
Mm.
and you have the Whole Foods.
Yes.
It depends on your budget, but you can walk into a lower budgeted supermarket
Yes.
and find good things here in
Yes,
Canada,
you could.
right? So that's what I was saying. But
okay.
we're talking about the soul food, because that's what we sent out. We said soul food, and we love soul food,
I love soul food.
right? Remember,
But
the
we
place-
got some emails already telling us not to like soul food.
yeah.
But I think if you can indulge in soul food once in a while, it's your culture. You have to understand that you can't give up your culture, but you can mitigate the damage by not eating a lot of it.
Yeah.
Right. So soul food is good. It's tasty, but the only reason it's tasty is because it's filled with a lot of stuff that you shouldn't be eating.
And there is some history to this. It goes back.
Mm.
Now, there are some misconceptions. One of the things I learned doing the research for this program is that Black American women is the fastest group of vegans
Okay.
in the States.
Mhm.
I don't know about the rest of the world. I don't know about Canada.
But why is that
But
so?
the reason is because they have recognized there's a problem, and there are certain people who are doing projects
Okay.
that are to enlighten, projects to educate
Mhm.
as to what it is. Because if you remember, I was saying to Gary and Mike before the show, we were saying that sometimes when Black people try and they're eating the vegetables and
Mhm.
somebody will
Yeah,
say,
that's white people food,
you're
man."
into white people food, or you're into rabbit food, right? Because and if you go to a dinner, a Christmas, Thanksgiving, no matter what celebration, we have to have certain things.
Yes.
And that is the problem.
Yeah.
And how did it start? It goes all the way back to slavery,
Okay.
right? But then back in the day, the slave master would eat the good portions
Mhm.
and they would give the scraps,
The dregs.
the scraps.
Yeah.
And then
They had to make
you
do.
eat
They had to-
scraps or you don't eat.
Right. And they had to make good. And they've done some pretty good recipes from those scraps.
It's
from-
amazing that they've turned those scraps
into
so
delicious, the
delicious.
delicious food. Unfortunately, it has,
Let's name some
detrimental.
of this stuff. All right, talk about the Caribbean.
Yeah.
What do we eat a lot of? Salt foods,
Yes.
salt fish,
Yes.
salt mackerel. What else? Salted cod, salted mackerel.
Mhm.
What are some of the other things?
Well, you have in Jamaica, you have your oxtail. You have your
That's
cowfoot.
not just Jamaica, that's everywhere now.
Yeah.
Like the
You have your
biggest delicacy.
cowfoot. Yeah, you have your cowfoot. You
The
have your
entrails, right?
big tails, right? You have your chicken foot
Yeah,
and all of those things. But
I remember, just a minute, I remember our nephew,
Mm.
Michael, we've talked about him. This is one that passed on my sister's daughter. And he used to say, I am not eating anything that has the name of an animal before it. So I'm not eating cow
Cow
foot,
foot.
cow face, pig foot, pig trotters, right?
not eating it.
He's not eating it. So there we go. But I'm sorry, I cut you and you were going to say something.
Yeah,
remember?
but I mean, but as bad as those things were or still is
Mhm.
today, they still have some good qualities of that in them. Like cow foot, for example,
Oh, yes. Yeah.
right? Chicken
Mhm.
foot soup, cow foot
Chicken
soup.
food.
Those
Mhm.
things are still they still
Yeah.
have some good nutrients in them
Yeah.
that is good for you.
So
But when it comes to
how it is grown,
how
that
it
is the
yeah
problem,
how it
right?
is like today at the
Mhm.
function where we
Mhm.
were, and I mentioned the meats,
Mhm.
the amount of additives that are put into the meat.
Yes.
Look, the other day we were in the supermarket and I looked at a piece of meat and you could tell they had some kind of coloring on it,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Mhm, mhm.
Now,
That's what they do. So it looks fresh.
yeah, it looked fresh.
It's a dye that's inserted on it, right?
Excuse
Yeah.
me. Also, you know that the cattle that is being reared in North America for commercial purposes, they feed them with grain,
Mhm.
right? And as a result, they have to give them antibiotics
Yeah.
so it could break down the grain in the
this,
cow's intestine.
yeah.
So when they give them all of those antibiotics, it goes into the meat, it goes into the milk. And no matter how they filter it, no matter what you do, it is still there.
Yeah.
Right. And it's going to cause problem over a period of time.
Yeah.
So if you eat too much of it, you're going to have a problem.
Right. So we're actually trying to cut back. I know last week we had Ian on, and Ian, we found a couple of vegan patties in the fridge. So we had that for breakfast a couple of days ago. I hope you had some orders, and it's never too late, folks. Check our website.
Yep.
And you'll be able to get to see some of the supplements, etc., that we have on. It's what liquidgreenproducts.com, and that will
liquidgreenproducts.com.
take you to
Yeah.
quite a few other things. But coming back to the issue of Black folks,
Mhm.
and even back then, 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, we used to be agrarian because before taken from the continent,
Yeah.
we were vegans,
Yes.
right? Most cultures used to eat plant-based.
Yeah.
They were gatherers,
Yes.
all right? And not just way back then, but recent past, right? So again, when the slavery was abolished, what did Black folks have to do? They had to plant their own food because they were restricted from going to the places where they could
buy
go and
the
shop
fresh
and
vegetable.
buy.
Right. So
that's why those communities came about.
right. So they
They
had
had
to
to be self-sufficient.
and that's why they had to that they were eating a lot of plant-based foods
Exactly.
because it was plant.
Because they're farmers and they're growing. So, but as the jobs became more, more urban,
Mhm.
they had to move to the towns,
Yeah.
and their way of eating was changed.
And then convenience too, because you have shifts that you're working, you come home, you're tired.
Mm.
Who's going to stand in front of a stove to cook?
But
Right.
Frederick, it's a systemic problem. Okay, we have of course there's always personal choice,
Mhm.
but there's also systemic choices, because we know 100% for sure that when the fast food stores were first introduced into North America, and again for the US,
Yeah.
certain areas were targeted.
Bombarded with them, yes.
Right? Certain areas were targeted. So you could not find easily a great supermarket,
But you could find a fast food chain.
but you could find 2 or 3, and everybody was trying
Yeah.
to set up.
And the aroma and the taste is what changed the eating habits of our people, because we gravitated to that taste.
And
It tasted good.
but why does it taste good? Because of the sugar,
and
the
the
amount
salt,
of additive.
sugar and- yeah.
Salt and sugar are 2 worst enemies.
Yeah.
And the amount of these things that we find in those chains.
And that led to a high degree of obesity. There's a study out there that says 70% of US and 40%, right? 70, yeah, that's correct. The obesity rate is, 70% between the ages of 18 to I think 40, and then a 40% after that. Okay, and that was a search from that we did on the internet. And then you have the organization, the World Health Organization.
Yeah, the World Health Organization has actually said, and this is a fact, that processed meat is a known carcinogen that it causes cancer.
Yeah.
That's what carcinogens are. Right?
Processed meat. And when we talk about processed meat, you're talking about sausages, hamburgers, the canned foods, right? That
like the bully beef.
the bully beef and the corned beef, folks. If you don't know what bully beef is, corned beef and the spam and those things, they taste good.
But I mean, look at us, and I remember, like, when you, even as students, and you wanted something quick and tasty, what did we do? It was a can of bully beef. Yep. In Jamaica, and it was some cabbage.
It is good, my friends.
So the cabbage is great, but we're glad now though that people are becoming aware, and shows like ours, of course, is trying to
bring the information. I'm going to get to that. At the event we were at today, the DJ, I went over to him and he said to me, something. He said, people don't understand that eating good in this country is a privilege, and that's a note that we had.
Yeah, meaning that it's no longer a right.
Yeah,
everybody has the right to eat
properly. Yes.
And I was hearing about a situation. This was with the Aboriginal folks, the native Indians.
Yeah,
and what they were saying that in some of the reserves, miles and miles and miles, and there's not one supermarket.
Yeah.
Sometimes they have to get a bus trip.
Yeah.
And so now they're bringing in like a restriction. You can only have 2 bags of groceries on a bus.
And that is because nothing can grow in those areas.
It's crazy.
Especially in the northern areas in Canada. I don't know much about the United States, but in Canada, food is airlifted in probably every 2 to 3 weeks, right? And so when you're out of fresh bread or you're out of ice cream, basic staples, right? Milk.
Ice cream is not a basic staple.
Well, for the kids. No, for the kids. For the kids. For the kids.
Okay.
I don't eat ice cream. That's not true. When last I ate ice cream?
Okay, because we haven't bought any, but we all
precisely.
Who does not love ice cream?
I don't.
But then I
don't like the ice cream
without it being with dairy.
Yeah, just use some yogurt.
Yeah. Oh, right. The kefir is wonderful.
Yeah.
I think we should get to some emails.
Okay.
What do you think?
And then we'll get back to Western medicine and stuff like that. So okay, you have an email. Go ahead.
Yes. This one came in earlier, actually a day ago, and it says it's an early email from Bob. And Bob says, I am a nutritionist. Soul food is tasty, but is not healthier than vegan food. Of course, now we know that, right? Most soul food is fried, and it's not good. Soul food, 0. Vegan, vegetarian, A1. Okay. Thank you, Bob, for the advice. And we know if we had to take a poll, there would be lots of folks agreeing with you. Right? Do you have another one?
That is one from Amy. And Amy says, you didn't recognize this lady at your event? Oh no, not having affairs, are you? Only kidding. Love you too. P.S. Soul food is great, but it's not healthy. And Amy, if you were at that event, I honestly did not recognize you. I'm sorry. Where are you writing from? You're supposed to say where you're writing from.
No. You're reading this wrong. She's talking about
the lady. Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness, Fred. Yes, the fact that you didn't recognize her, that's what she said. She says, were you having an affair? And
Okay.
then this is somebody you probably didn't
Yeah.
recognize. Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. Soul food is tasty. This is one from Wayne. It's tasty, but not very good for you. As a treat, yes. As a staple, definitely no. And I agree with you.
What's your favorite soul food?
Cornbread.
I knew you were going to say
Yeah,
that.
cornbread.
And
Cornbread.
actually,
I don't like the other stuff, really.
and who makes the best cornbread that we know of? Ava.
Yeah, Ava. Oh, yeah.
Lamore's sister,
Yeah.
Kira's husband, the
Yeah.
family.
My son-in-law's sister. Oh,
And she came on the polar dip with us. But
yeah, that's the best.
honest to goodness, she makes an amazing cornbread.
Yeah. Best, the best.
Right?
Other than that, the other time I had good cornbread was when we were in Florida several years ago. We stopped in at a soul food restaurant, and they had cornbread, and that was very good.
And we're dying to go down to. We have not done it before, but we're really having
Louisiana.
to make a list to
Louisiana.
go to Louisiana.
Yeah.
To just hang out and eat some of that soul food,
Yeah.
right? And the drinks.
Here's an email from Glenn, and Glenn says, "Hi, Fred and Janet. Please remind your listeners to wash all your fruits and fresh foods with LG,
Liquid green food,
liquid green
fruit and veggie wash.
food and veggie wash." Now that is important. And yes, let me remind you, folks. Thank you for that, Glenn. Every time you're gonna, use your fruits and vegetables, make sure you clean it thoroughly with liquid green fruit and vegetable wash. And here's one from. Who's this one from?
James.
Yeah.
James says, no soul food. I am a Black man. This is really serious. And so after this one, we'll get back to the topic at hand. He says, I'm a Black man and I was raised on soul food. I am 54 years old and have had 2 heart attacks due to my diet over many years. Stay away from it.
That's a
So
big.
we say that without jest.
Yeah, that's a big
Right?
warning. Stay away from it. Well, I wouldn't say stay away from it completely. I would say be aware of what you're eating.
It is comfort food.
It is, yeah, it's good. It's tasty.
You can't say it's good, stay away from it. We have to make choices
Yeah.
as to how often you're going to have it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Be aware of what you're eating.
Yeah, and not let the soul food diet be your main diet.
Yeah.
Or if you're going to have the fried chicken, make sure you load up with the fruits and veggies.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very good. And here's one from Darlene.
Oh, Darling said, I love cornbread.
Love that. She says, I love dipping it in gravy. It's my fave. Yeah, got you, girl. I got you. I just know. I know what that tastes like. You get the right gravy and you dip that warm cornbread inside. To die for. I know what it looks like.
But in support of soul food, there is something to support it. They do have a lot of vegetables.
Yes.
Because we'll have the coleslaw. But what I find is
They
that in some of
overcook
the
it.
restaurant, the coleslaw, which is
Oh,
raw,
the coleslaw. Yeah.
the coleslaw, which is raw, they'll put sugar.
Yeah. Why are they putting
And
sugar in it?
Sugar.
Why?
Some apple cider vinegar and what is it? Apple cider vinegar and probably some mayonnaise, or you can make your own. And that makes a great coleslaw dressing.
Mhm.
And what I have started doing is upgrade. When I do a coleslaw, I use no dressing and I grate about 3 apples. And then I use the apples instead of the dressing. And it works. It does wonders.
Yeah.
And the other thing too, like the collard greens,
Yeah.
right?
I think it's overcooked. When you go to a restaurant, you get collard greens.
Or
It's overcooked.
callaloo.
Yeah, it's definitely overcooked.
Yeah.
And I'm
Or-
talking about restaurants.
Mhm.
Like I want to touch, it's Black History Month. There are lots of Black restaurants in Toronto. And I give them a grade from A to Z. Because you have some Z class
Okay.
Z class
Yeah.
Black restaurants. that you shouldn't go to,
You mean Zed?
or Z or Z or whatever, right? Z, I'm in North
Okay.
America.
Yes.
Z, that those are restaurants you
Mhm.
should not buy their food, period.
Right.
Reason being, it is just not prepared healthy enough,
Right.
right? They use the wrong type of oils. You can taste the oil, right?
Yes.
And it's no,
And what we know about oils now is that when they're using, we know they're not using the expensive grapeseed oil, they're
Yeah.
not using the expensive coconut oil, they're using the cheaper varieties of the seed oils.
right? The
Right.
canola oils
The
and like
canola-
none of the oils that they use in the fast food
Yeah.
restaurants are good for you.
And
But
then-
again, how do you, if you like these kind of foods, you really have to have discipline.
Yes, but before you go there, I wanted to say about the oils, and the absolutely worst thing about it is you buy some French fries today.
Mhm.
They just poured in a batch of oil. Now they're gonna reheat that oil.
Yes,
And then it becomes a trans fat.
right.
And that is the real killer.
That's the killer.
Because whenever you reheat
Yeah.
those oils,
Mhm.
the new version of that oil is now it's the cardiovascular system. That's the cause of the
Yeah.
heart attacks,
Yeah.
right?
And another thing about the restaurants, again, not all of the Black restaurants in
No,
Toronto,
of course not.
but quite a few of them.
Mhm. And this is not just Black restaurants, it's restaurants, period.
No, but I'm talking about Black restaurants because, that's my culture,
Mhm.
right? And it's
But
Black
you eat
history.
everywhere. You eat other
Yeah,
places
I
as
do.
well.
But like I said, some of them I would not buy anything from them.
Mhm.
I wouldn't buy anything simply because I
Mhm.
don't think it's properly prepared.
Yeah.
The other thing is the portions that they give in some of these restaurants, they overserve the amount of rice,
Okay.
right? The amount of rice, whether it's
And
rice and
white
peas
rice,
or plain rice, it's rice,
Mhm.
right? And in my opinion, Black folks should not be eating the amount of rice that they eat,
Right.
right?
Because we have, I mean, in for credibility and for fairness, in most West Indian restaurants, what can you buy? You don't only get rice. You can ask for green bananas. You
Yeah.
can ask for a piece of yam.
Mhm.
You can ask for a dumpling, which is worse than the rice.
It's worse than the
But
rice,
you can ask for a piece of breadfruit. There are other
which is better,
places,
but very few offer breadfruit.
those starches are much better.
Yeah.
You can ask for sweet potato.
But you're talking about the high-end restaurants.
No,
the
I'm
high-end Black
talking
restaurant.
about-
The
no.
regular, no.
No, I'm talking about the regular.
The one that I
restaurants.
classify as Z or Z, you ain't gonna get breadfruit. You ain't gonna get sweet potato, right?
Okay.
You're not gonna get those things. So those are the restaurants that I think, unfortunately, nobody should buy from them, right? Because they're in the Z class.
So
You
what
have some
about-
high-end Black
What about
restaurants,
McDonald's? It's the same, right?
It's just as
should buy
bad.
from them.
just as bad.
Arby's or Burger King or any
Yeah.
of the fast food chains.
Yeah, but when your own people are selling you food that is not healthy for you, that to me is a bigger crime.
Food is a problem because I believe that nobody really wants to be unhealthy. I don't believe anybody really want to go out there and just eat bad stuff, right? But the
It's a matter of choice and economics. That's what it comes
It's
down to.
economics.
Economics.
But even if you can afford it,
Yeah. But
what
lack of knowledge,
sometimes
some
you
people,
can't get around some of the things that, as we say, it's about 90% of the stuff that goes through a supermarket that's not good for you.
yeah, but ignorance is no excuse, right? There's no excuse. If you're eating constantly living on these kind of foods and it's not that they don't know, they know there are options out
But
there.
Frederick, you can
But
go
again,
and
it
buy
comes back-
spinach.
It comes back to choice. It comes back to
You can buy
affordability.
spinach, you can
Yeah.
buy vegetables loaded with pesticides. So it's not as if you're not trying to do the right thing, but then you're caught up in a web
Yeah.
because of how the industry, the food
Again, it's
industry
economics.
is.
It's economics because if you want to get good quality food, supposedly you need to go organic, but not all organic is organic.
Exactly, that's
Right.
my point.
They-
So even if you have the money and you can afford to buy organic for your family of 6,
Yeah, but you're
Which
not
is expensive.
necessarily getting
you're
organic.
not getting the best.
You're not getting the best food because for you to get organic, it's going to be expensive because the turnover in the organic industry, is not as fast as the regular commercial farming, right? It takes longer for those food to reach maturity. So you're going to pay a little bit more, but are you prepared? Which is more important? You either pay for your health now or you pay later. So you have a choice, right? You pay now or you pay later. And paying later is much more expensive than paying now.
Right.
Right.
So what should we be eating? We know we should be picking out on the dark leafy vegetables, right? The kale, the callaloo, the greens,
Yeah.
and the berries.
Yes.
I know blueberries is on the top of the list.
Top of the list.
As you know, in North America anyway.
Yeah.
I know you have jamun in Guyana.
Yeah. But
And of
blueberries
course,
are among the
grapes
fruits.
in
Yeah.
in along the beach. Oh my God, they're so good. But tell us something about blueberries. Why is that so good?
Blueberries are good because it has the capability of bypassing certain I don't know the right term for it, but it's able to take the nutrition in the blueberry directly to the cells and give you the nutrients that your body needs. Right. And it's probably the only fruit that is able to do that.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's why you should be taking a lot of blueberries. It's good for the eyes, it's good for the
brain.
nerves, it's good for the brain, because the
Staves off
brain,
all
yeah,
that.
it helps the brain to function properly. It helps to stave off Alzheimer's or dementia or whatever. So it's a very, very good fruit.
So it's on the top of the list when it comes to berries, but berries period are good.
Yeah.
And the problem with the berries, when it comes to the what's sprayed on them,
The pesticides.
the pesticides,
Yeah,
because
pesticides.
some things, some fruits, some vegetables have a harder core,
Mhm.
and then you can peel them off. Like you don't need to buy, in my opinion, organic bananas.
Oh
That is
no,
just
that's
my
nonsense.
opinion.
Organic,
Because we peel that off.
Yeah.
Or organic coconut.
Coconut. Do you see these big terms, organic coconut and organic bananas and organic nonsense, right?
But the berries you really should try and buy organic, because
Yes.
it goes into the flesh of the food, and you can try to wash it off, but it's already inside the food.
Yes.
So, right? And I know we eat a lot of nuts. Well, I eat a lot of
Not
nuts.
me. I'm nutty already. I don't need to eat more nuts.
And seeds, right?
Yeah.
Chia
I
seeds.
eat, I haven't been doing it
Mhm,
recently, but pumpkin seeds is something that I enjoy
mhm.
because of the magnesium and the zinc, because you need a lot of zinc.
And good for the prostate.
Yeah, zinc is good for the prostate. What you need is nutrition. Like I mentioned at the event today, you need good nutrition, because that's where health starts. So you want to maintain good health. You want to live, a healthier lifestyle. You have to start with nutrition.
And you know what they say, again, it's another statistic that Americans, back to the Americans, they eat less than 10% of their calories from fruits and vegetables.
Wow.
Less
Less than
alone,
10.
less than 10%, right?
Yeah.
And that's, but then do you believe that this can be changed?
I think it can be changed. With shows like this, information is vital, and the listeners have got to have a desire to want to change it. And once they have the information, they have the tool, then it's up to them to do the research. Don't take our word for it. Do the research.
Yeah.
There, like today at the event, I met a young lady that said, "Oh, I was just about to go and buy some vitamins." And I said, "It's not vitamins so much that you need. What you need is nutrition, right? You need the trace minerals. You need things like spirulina, But again, it depends on where the spirulina is being farmed.
Yeah.
Right. I see on the internet there's lots of spirulina selling out there, and some of them I read up the information, and where it's coming from they don't say, right? So you got to be careful what you're buying with spirulina.
Yeah.
You need the omega-3, of course.
Okay.
Right.
That is a
must.
Is the number one.
That's the number one.
Yeah.
The omega-3, and we're not talking about omega-3 from the fish, folks. We're talking about omega-3 from the mammal, the seal, right? And why we're promoting seal omega-3 is because seal omega-3 has all three of the fatty chains, right? The DHA, the EPA, and the what's the other one? The DPA.
DPH.
Yeah, it has. I don't remember. It has all three compared to fish, where fish only has two, right? Fish oil is good. Not knocking fish oil. I'm just saying it's not the best. We are not fish, right? So why would you take something that doesn't have the full complement that the body needs? Remember, omega-3 is an essential oil. The body doesn't make it, so you got to get it from a supplement. And the best supplemental version of omega-3 is from a mammal, right? Which is the harp seal.
I'm going to read this email right now, and then I want to make a comment about veganism.
Now, before you read that, let me just tell our listeners that you're listening to the Liquid Green Health Show on Reality Radio 101. You're listening to the Coxes, and today we're discussing food and the nutrition and the importance of taking nutrition over, regular food.
And the reason I wanted to read the email, because she says, excellent radio show today. There are 5 of us listening to you here. Nuts are good. Soul food, not so much. Teas are good.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about teas because we're
going to do a whole show. I think we're going to do a show on teas, and it's going to amaze you. Yeah.
Another one.
We did one already,
Yeah,
right?
we did.
So we're going to come back with it now. It's going to amaze you at the quality of teas you should be taking.
So teas are good, organic is good, but expensive.
Very
Which we
expensive.
have acknowledged. And she says, and you really do not know if it is organic or not. And we discussed
And
that.
that
right?
is true.
And
Yeah.
she said you do have to take a chance. And she's asking for our website. So
Yeah.
could you please?
Yeah, our website is liquidgreenproducts.com. That's liquid, the word liquid, green, like, green leaf,
Mhm.
products, like products with an S. That's
Mhm.
liquidgreenproducts.com. And if you went there, you go into the section that says health, click on that, and you'll see a lot of the things that we are talking about in the health section. Yes.
So I was going to make a comment about being vegan
Yeah.
because I said we're going to try after the Super Bowl.
I am not going to be vegan.
I'm
I'm
not
telling you
saying
from
go vegan. I'm
Oh.
saying I wonder how many of our listeners would work with us this week,
Oh,
or if not this week, next week. Well, just for 1 week
yeah.
to see if we can go vegan. Right? All that really means we're going to be still eating.
Yeah, I
fruits and
can give
vegetables,
up. I can
and
give up
that's-
meat for
We're
1 week.
only giving up the meat
Yeah, I can do that.
and the dairy,
And
which
well,
we
I
already don't do
don't
dairy.
drink. I
right?
don't do dairy at all.
And the problem is, like the vegan diet, people still have to be careful
Yeah,
because there's still highly processed foods that are labeled
that
vegan.
is so true.
right?
You go into the
They're
health food
loaded
store.
with salt and
Yeah,
sugar.
you go into the health food store and you see all of these chips that are supposed to be good for you,
That is
but it's
vegan.
processed food,
Yes.
right?
Mhm.
Every single chip out there is
Yeah.
processed
Some of
food.
them have the shape of the carrot,
Yeah.
the shape of the cabbage.
Or
whatever.
you have the vegetable type,
Yeah.
chips out there. It's processed food, folks, right? And you go into the health food store is just an
Mhm.
upgrade version of the regular
Mm-hmm.
supermarkets. They're just selling what the supermarkets are not going to be selling.
I
But
have,
it's 95% of the stuff in there is processed foods.
I have some good news for you.
What's that?
Oreo cookies.
Oh, yeah, but you don't
No,
have to
listen,
bring that up. I
listen.
don't
I
eat.
said, listen,
No.
I said good news.
Yeah.
Oreo cookies, I learned over this weekend, are
It's good?
vegan.
You can't get vegan. It's processed.
That's what I heard.
Yeah.
So
And you see, folks,
that's what we're talking about.
yeah,
Right?
these are the
That's what we're
type of
talking about.
confusing labels they put, information they put on the labels.
Mhm.
Gluten-free. Excuse me. Gluten-free, right?
Yeah.
What's the other thing?
Not
Gluten-free,
tested on animals.
non-GMO,
Non-GMO.
Non-GMO.
Not tested on animals.
not tested. All these things are just to confuse us, right? Now, for example, coconut water. They have the gluten-free on coconut water. Look, for heaven's sake, does coconut water have gluten?
Or
So
corn,
what- yeah.
cornmeal is gluten.
Why you gotta put no? It's not gluten.
Corn has no gluten.
No gluten,
But it's GMO.
Yeah, but they put
So-
gluten-free on corn.
Yeah, but it's GMO, so you know.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Like you're going to be resistant. I know you're going to be resistant this week
Mhm.
when we try to go vegan. And for many, many people
That's not
who
true.
want to, for many
That's
people,
not true. That's not true. You know, I love
For
to.
many
I like to.
people-
No. Give me a chance to clarify this. You know that I like to sometimes cook up some
yes, you
black eyed
do.
peas with
Or
just
Karaya,
onions,
which is
or
the bitter
the
lemon,
bitter
which is
lemon.
fantastic.
Yeah, with onions and
Yeah.
stuff like that. You know, I like to do that. So don't
Of
lie on me.
course.
Don't throw me under the bus.
But you represent, myself included, I'm not just throwing you under the bus, myself included. There is a resistance
To what?
when it comes to trying to go vegan.
Yeah, because
a lot of people says the food, it just doesn't taste
it don't
good.
taste good. Like
But
most
then-
vegan foods out there that you buy, it's awful. And
But then we have friends who are vegan and we have visited and we've eaten at their house and the foods are great. We used to go in Oakville to the vegan show.
yeah.
I don't know if they're having it this year, but pre-pandemic, we used to do that. And they had at least 18 different types of foods, different recipes that you could actually try.
For me, the worst food for veganism is chickpeas.
Are you kidding?
No, not the chickpeas itself, but when they make it into that paste, what do they call it? Hummus.
But I
That's
love
the worst
hummus.
tasting.
but
No,
hummus
I don't
is
like it.
everything.
No, just give me the chickpeas.
Right.
Don't give me no. That's an awful taste, and not
No, but if
everybody
you
makes it good.
And then you put the fresh, it's all about the seasoning. And that's what we should spend a minute and talk about the seasoning.
Okay, we don't
Because-
have a lot of time.
The seasoning is what brings any kind of food
Yeah,
into great tasting. food.
seasoning without salt.
So if you're eating spinach, a bowl of spinach,
Yeah.
lightly cooked,
Mhm.
just by itself, it's terrible. But then you throw in some onions,
Yeah,
and,
garlic.
you know,
Gotta have
some
garlic.
Scotch bonnet pepper,
Yeah,
a little garlic,
Yeah.
and the whole thing comes
you
alive.
gotta put a little bit of salt,
A little bit of salt,
Yeah.
you know,
and I like
So-
pepper in it. A little bit of
salt
pepper.
and pepper
Yeah.
and turmeric. That's
Gotta
one of
have
the
turmeric.
that's one of the good things. Turmeric in fried rice.
Yeah.
I never do fried rice without putting in at least a teaspoon, a heavy teaspoon of turmeric, right?
And,
So it's a mindset, I believe, and that we have to change. Do you agree?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Partially agree. I'm
Mhm.
never ever going to be a vegan. I don't love meat, but I enjoy the taste of meat every once in a while. I still enjoy my sugar, you know.
And I'm sure
Every
folks
once in
who
a
are
while.
listening and who are vegan or vegetarian, because there's so many different types. There's pescatarians,
Yeah.
right? The ones who will
The
not
fish
eat, they'll eat fish. But I think it's a responsibility that we have to ourselves.
Mhm.
When I make the healthier choices, do you know who I'm thinking of?
Who?
I'm thinking of my grandchildren because I would like to be around another 20 years at least. Probably 30 years. At 30 years, I'd be 100, right?
Yeah.
Do you think you can make it that long?
I'm going to 125.
Well, with the technology,
trying-
there's so many
trying to
new
go to
kinds
125.
of technology in terms of anti-aging and the kind
Yeah.
of things they can do to make you live longer. But if we very simply stop eating so much sugar,
Mhm.
reduce the salt,
Oh, we have
increase the
reduced the salt.
vegetables,
We have done all three of
right?
those.
Increase the vegetables, increase the exercise.
Yes.
For me, cut down on Netflix, which I have started doing, cutting down on Netflix so that I can get to bed earlier. By 11, 12 o'clock, I want to be in bed so that we can have 7 hours of good sleep. Also, stop drinking so much water at night.
You know,
Because when you drink water, too much water at night, you get up to go use the washroom.
so they
And
say,
it
but I
interrupts your sleep, and I think that's not good,
yeah.
right?
But the bottom line again, it comes down to nutrition.
Yes,
Nutrition,
education,
exercise,
sleep,
and sleep. It's nutrition, exercise, and sleep, and that is gonna lend to a better quality of life.
And the
We all have
biggest-
to die, right?
What's the biggest one? But stress.
Yeah, and
We
so I
have
got to get
reduce
rid of you.
stress.
I have to get rid of you because that look at my hair, folks. Look at my hair, right? But those three things.
You notice I'm letting that slide.
Yeah.
Right? I'm letting.
But you have
that
to let it slide because it's the truth.
Because guess what?
It's the truth.
By the way, folks, he introduced me today as his friend. So I'm going to be, it started, all right? Here we are at a function, and he says, and this, on my,
It's my friend.
It's my friend.
It's my friend. But you're
And
my friend.
Valentine's. So on Valentine's,
It's not Valentine's yet. It's
your wife. I'm not going to be your lover.
It's not Valentine yet.
Your business partner. I'm going to be your friend.
We have 2 days. 2 days for that.
For you to make it up, right? So we want to wish everybody a happy Valentine's when it comes anyway, right?
Right.
Because by the time the next week show comes around, it will have been gone. Do something nice for your Valentine.
Yeah.
And don't stress them out.
But coming back to the nutrition, whatever you're going to partake in this week, you have to get into the mindset that my body needs more nutrition, more nutritious foods, right? Because when you just eat, and you gorge yourself, like it's going to happen tonight in a lot of places, you need to remember that you have a part of the body that's known as the gut biome, right? So you need to feed the gut biome. And what does the gut biome need? Nutrition.
But we need to not feel so guilty about the fact that we're not getting the best nutrition, because we go back to the weapon of mass destruction. We go back to the food industry.
Yes.
They put stuff in your food that make us crave more.
That is true.
Right?
That is true.
Our brain
makes you addicted.
Yeah, our brain, when it gets that dopamine fix.
Yeah. It wants more.
Can you eat one bag of popcorn? Can you eat when we go to the cinema, honest to God, the size of the popcorn
is very big.
And the size of the drinks.
Yes. Everything is super size.
It's there, and it's the brain always wants more. You could have a small box of popcorn.
And not only that, one of the dangers of eating habits is you had a good meal, right?
Cramming.
And then, you gorge it down. Half an hour later, you want something to eat again.
Yes.
Right?
That's because we didn't eat.
Something is triggering in the brain. I gotta have more. I gotta have more. And if you're not getting the nutrition, the brain is gonna say, hey, I'm still hungry. The body's gonna send a message to the brain, I need more food, because it's not getting the nutrition. And then the brain is going to say, okay, Fred, you got to eat something because, they're calling for food.
Yeah.
And then you go back again and you gorge again. And then the body says, hey, this is more than we can handle. What are we going to do with it?
It's as if we're on a train.
Yeah.
It's like a death train.
Yeah.
The foods, the processed foods that we're eating, and we have to get off it. And we have to start. There's a new term that's been coined. It's called diabesity.
Diabesity.
Right.
Diabesity.
Because the obesity almost
is the diet that is causing the obesity.
Leads to diabetes.
Improper diet is causing obesity.
And the other thing too, I know where time is.
We just have like 2 minutes.
There's a statement I'll make. Geez, we could do 2 shows on this, because half of what we want to say we haven't. But when you're trying to actually pull out and get away from those foods, it's almost as if you're on a drug and you're experiencing withdrawal symptoms.
Because that's what food does. The processed foods. The processed foods is like taking a drug and you're trying to withdraw from that drug. That feeling of wanting more. I gotta have it.
Yeah.
Right. You gotta go back. I gotta have a donut. I gotta have I gotta have this. I gotta have that.
So we have 1 minute to do your.
With that, folks, look, we kind of divert from what we really wanted to say.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
We talked about the soul food. We had lots of comments.
Okay.
And we did talk about veganism, right?
All right.
Which was the
object of that brings us to the end of the show. This was a fast-moving hour.
Too fast.
Right. It's not enough time to talk about all the things. So with that, we're going to end today's show with our usual quote. Good health is central to human happiness and well-being. It contributes significantly to prosperity and wealth and even economic progress. As healthy individuals, we can be more productive and even live a little bit longer. So until next Sunday, folks, same time, same place, right on this station. This is Janet and Fred Cox saying, let's stay healthy.
on
Reality Radio. 101. Have a good one. Enjoy the game.
And happy Valentine's.
Thank you for listening to the Liquid Green Health Show with your hosts, Fred and Janet Cox, right here on Reality Radio 101.